Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and we are going to analyze Redfin's new weekly housing market update, where they're pointing out that sales right now are absolutely crashing and buyers are finally in the driver's seat to get out in the market in most metro areas to start trying to find the deals of their dream. But it's really important that we also stay objective as more and more data comes in and as the Federal Reserve starts slowing down on their quantitative tightening. Because here's the thing, a lot of different possibilities can happen in 2023. So it's really especially important to stay inside the data. But here's a couple sticking points. Number one, unaffordability right now is ravaging most American households, and it is the worst it's been since the early 1980s. Number two sticking point, prices right now are too high. You can't have homes go up 30 to 40% in 2 years. Now, the third sticking point for me is the rental market appears to be going through an absolute meltdown. Rent right now appears to be declining rapidly. Now, historically, seasonally, this time of year, the rental market slows down. So it's going to be especially important to keep our eyes on the data as well in the rental market as we move into 2023, because those are the three main things that I'm looking at, which I believe is going to lead to a continued housing market crash. But regardless, let's hop into this article. But before I do that, you guys remember I'm not a financial advisor, even if I want to be, even though my bio is as a husband looking for a house for my family, as a renter that's frustrated, I feel like I'm wasting my money, and a realtor, loan officer, and instructor in real estate, and someone that lost everything the last time around. I'm not a particularly smart person, but I know what not to do. So you can lean on me to learn on what not to do. Now, other than that, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, shoot me a comment below, share this, but let's start in the article now. Now, we'll jump into the data, but let me read a little bit of the summary of the article. We're entering 2023 with positive economic news. The latest Consumer Price Index report confirms that the worst of inflation is behind us. That means the Fed is likely to continue easing its interest rate increases, which should cause mortgage rates to continue gradual declining. This could bring back some home buyers in the coming months. We've already seen an uptick in people initiating home searches. Although those house hunters haven't yet turned into buyers, they may soon, given that monthly mortgage payments are notably down from their peaks and the latest inflation and employment data lower the chances of a recession. So towards the end of this video, I'm going to do a peak versus current comparison so that I can give you guys a general roundabout idea on how much money you saved on average if you waited to right now to buy a house. So it's a lot of money, you guys. And even though the interest rates are higher right now, people are still saving tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, by waiting. But again, as we move into 2023, the Fed starts softening quantitative tightening. We need to pay attention to many, many different factors so that we understand how long will we have purchasing opportunity. And I don't necessarily think overall that opportunity is here yet. And obviously that really depends on your local housing market. Like if I lived in Austin's in super bad shape, and it's actually a little bit easier to find great deals in Austin. But here's another 20 of the top 50 biggest metro areas, which represents 40%. You guys listen, 40% of the top 50 metro areas are on the year-over-year price decline list. Let's take a look right now. Prices fell 10.6% year over year for San Francisco. That is a massive decline. 5% in Seattle, another massive decline. 4.9% San Jose, 4% in Austin. But also remember, these cities also lost all of the equity growth that they got in the beginning of 2022, which was generally double-digit equity growth. We got a 3.8% loss in Detroit. But again, that's much more if you bought at the peak. Remember that anyone that bought at the peak in any of those metro areas is hurting really bad. And that's not good, right? 3.7% in Phoenix, 3.4% in Oakland, 3% Boston, 3% Los Angeles, 3% Sacktown, 2.6% San Diego. Y'all see all the California cities here. 2.5% in Chicago, less than 2% in Portland, Anaheim. Portland's on here again. Riverside, Norwalk, New York, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Washington, New Orleans, Buffalo, Honolulu were also on there. So we've had a lot of metro areas on and off this list. Now, I believe that the housing market crash that we've already started, okay, we've already started. Now, the only question is how bad will the housing market crash get? And at what point is everyone going to start trying to buy again, right? Those are really, really important questions that we need to ask ourselves as we move into 2023. But again, the most important thing right now is that y'all study your local housing market and become experts so that you understand what a great deal is. You can't understand what a great deal is unless you study your local housing market. And one of the ways to do that is by getting a realtor to help you do market analysis based on MLS or active data. Let's jump in now to the leading indicators. Here's this week's leading indicators, and we're going to see that the Fed basically softening its quantitative tightening is actually loosening some of these leading indicators, but only a little bit. Let me show you guys. So for the week ending January 12th, 30-year mortgage interest rates declined to 6.33%. But here's the thing, the average, because they kept going down, is 6.15%. So when we do our peak to current comparison, we're going to use 6.15% because we know that that is essentially today's interest rates, or as of January 11th. Mortgage purchase applications during the week ending January 6th declined 1% from a week earlier. So mortgage applications down slightly. Here's the thing, purchase applications were down a whopping 44% from a year earlier. We're feeling that in the mortgage industry. I can certainly tell you that a few non-QM lenders have already closed down or filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, as has some reverse mortgage companies. The seasonally adjusted Redfin Homebuyer Demand Index, a measure of requests for home tours and other home buying services, is down 29% from a year earlier, but that is up 6% month over month. So it did tick up a little bit. Google searches were up nearly 50% from the November low, or down only 17% from a year earlier. So what this represents is there is a lot more people searching on Google now, trying to figure out what's going on in the housing market. Is it safe to buy? Am I going to be okay? Is the housing market going to crash? That's what that represents to me. And that also shows us that there is a lot of demand on the sidelines. Now take a look at this. I was hoping we were going to hit the year over year price decline list last year. We didn't quite make that. The new median sales price was $351,250. That's up only 0.8% year over year. Now let's start visualizing some of this data, and where I want to start is median sales price so that I can show you at what point I believe the fear is really going to spread out of control. And essentially, I believe the fear is going to spread out of control after February because of all of the inventory drops. But let me show you through median sales price also what it's going to do to year over year price decline. Take a look. So here's our median sales price. Now we have a new line right here. It is in orange, but I want to point out the red line, which is 2022. So you can see that as far as in 2022, that median sales price really started skyrocketing upward about mid-February. Do you guys see that? So about mid-February right here, it went way up. Right? Way up, which is really, really crazy if you think about it. So I believe as long as median sales price stays about the same, it's going to be, the end of February when we start seeing this orange line get way under that red line. And when that orange line is under that red line, it represents year over year price decline. So keep your eyes on this. I'm saying that after February, it is going to start getting super duper bad from a year over year price decline standpoint. Now take a look at this. So part of the reason why demand is coming back a little bit is because interest rates and mortgage payments are lower. So I want to point this out. Now the orange line, once again, remember, orange line is 2023, red line 2022, blue line 2021, gray line 2020. So I want to point out that even though it appears that mortgage payments are lower, they are for sure lower, look at how much higher they still are compared to this time last year. So this time last year, mortgage payments were under $1,700. Okay, fast forward to today, they're over $2,200. So even though it appears that things are softening, is it time to buy yet? Is it time to buy? Should we go rush out and buy? Remember, my sticking points, unaffordability and prices, also the rental market. But look on this graph, you guys. It's still, even though rates have gone down, it is still way, way too high and unaffordable. Do y'all see that? This line is way over 2022. One of the biggest factors of having a balanced housing market is inventory. So I want to point out, so even though demand had a bit of an uptick, and even though the Fed has slowed down their quantitative easing, take a look at this. This is shocking. I did not expect this. Months of supply skyrocketed up week over week. Months of supply skyrocketed up week over week. How do you explain that, you guys? Right? That's how bad a shape we're in. And that's how much inventory we actually have. We don't have we have historically low inventory, but demand is so crushed. Things are so unaffordable. We don't need the same amount of inventory. So you can see here, week over week, it went from about 3.4 months all the way back up to 3.8 months of inventory. That's up 1.8 months year over year. That is huge. We almost have the same months of supply, as you can see here, close to this gray line, that we did in 2020. So no matter what, remember this, what the Federal Reserve is doing is working, and we still don't have high unemployment. We still don't have foreclosures. We still don't have confirmed recession. And we already have almost more inventory than 2020. That right there is a very beautiful sign. Now, one of the leading indicators that shows us what effect the interest rates are having immediately in the market is listings with price drops. So I just want to point out that this is a lot lower than where we were. Obviously, we were up here in the red line. The new line is this orange line. So right now we're at 4%. But I also want to point out that even though we're a lot lower than we were, we're still more than double where we were at this time last year. Do you guys see that? So normally, historically, the listings with price drops are under 2%. So even though this is down, I just really want to point out that it's still double, 2 times higher than the last 3 years. So even though the rates went down to the low 6s, you guys, it doesn't matter. It's still double. The rates going down to the low 6s is still double the interest rates that we had December of 2021. So think about that. It's still double. So here's a chart that is another beautiful set of data. This is how many houses sold for under list price. And as you can see here, that look at this. This is so crazy. The red line and the blue line. I mean, a lot of people paid for over asking, but as you can see, that's plummeted down to very close to 2020 level, plummet straight down. I'm really confident in that, but this is going to be a really cool set of data to keep our eyes on because people have to do price cuts right now to sell their houses. I mean, I see that all over the place, at least in my market here in Texas. So on the next segment, I'm going to do the peak versus current comparison. And what I'm trying to do is show the viewers how much money that they saved by waiting to purchase. And the way I do that is I'm taking data from the peak of the housing market, which was basically mid-June of 2022. And I'm accessing that data from Redfin. I'm also accessing the data as far as interest rates from Fred economic data. So I'm going to take the median sales price and use that as the loan, and then I'm going to take the average interest rate to come up with a payment. Now, obviously, if I really wanted to get real specific, obviously we would put a down payment, we would calculate taxes, PMI, and things of that nature. But just for the ease of explaining how this works, that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to show you guys why interest rate is not as important as pricing, because even though the rates are higher right now, people saved a considerable amount of money by waiting for prices to come down. Let me show you. All I did here was I typed mortgage calculator in Google. And if I click this right here, it's going to allow me to calculate PMI. It'll allow me to put in taxes and insurance. So this is actually a really cool way for you guys to get a payment on a house that you're interested in. But I'm just going to use this general model right here, and I'm not going to click this button. So let's start with the first median sales price, which was in June at $391,000. Now, the interest rates back in June were 5.78%. This represents an average payment of $2,289 and an average median sales price of $391,000. So that is what people were buying roughly at the peak of the housing market in June. But now let me show you where we're at today. So now I need to change the loan amount to $351,250, and I'm going to take the lower interest rate of 6.15%, which means my payment is now lower than it was at the peak by $149. So if I waited to purchase from peak to now, I'm saving almost $40,000 on the purchase price and I'm saving $149 a month. But let's now see what's our 7-year savings, because I always hear if you just wait for 7 to 10 years, you're going to be fine. And that's historically accurate. So let's see what our 7-year savings is if we waited at this point. Let me show you by pulling up a basic calculator. So I'm simply going to take the $149 we're saving per month. I'm going to multiply that by 12, which represents an annual savings on just your mortgage of $1,788 a year. Times 7 for 7 years equals $12,516 that you saved just on your mortgage, plus $39,750, which is the lower median sales price, gives us a savings, a 7-year savings, if you waited, of $52,266. And that is why price will always be more important than interest rates. I don't want to say always. Obviously, there's certain cases where, the radical cases where it doesn't make sense. But overall, like 99.99% of the time, it makes a lot more sense to wait on price versus interest rate. In conclusion, well-qualified buyers are going to struggle in 2023, like myself, with patience and with understanding what's going to happen next in the housing market. So it's going to be especially important to have the right mindset, a positive mindset, but also become an expert in your local housing market. And ways to do that is get help from a realtor. They can do market analysis. You guys can use Altos Research. You can use Redfin. But one thing is for sure, you need to know what a great deal looks like. No one's going to care more about that than you do, because it's your investment. The other thing is always work on your credit, always work on your income, and always work on your savings. Part of the way to do that is understanding how you're living life right now, understand how you spend so you can do something about it. And also probably ask your current employer, maybe try to get more overtime, bonus, or commission, because those things are stuff that you can use to qualify for a mortgage and eventually, hopefully, get the deal of your dreams. Now, other than that, guys, I just want you to know that I am in this with you. If you're struggling on the sidelines, let me tell you, I am also struggling on the sidelines. I am renting and I am so frustrated right now. So I just want you to know we're in this together and you are not alone. Now, other than that, I really hope you guys got value, insights, and perspective from today's video. And if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.